How are we doing, guys? Garrett and Andy back from Sheer Drop Wrestling, here to review the episode of Smackdown from September 15th. I'm losing my mind. This
We're
past
actually
Friday,
from the future.
you guys just don't know it yet. How are we doing?
Good man.
So,
A little sick, but otherwise not too bad.
so this episode of Smackdown was, pretty boring. Not a whole lot happened. Definitely no
Yeah,
returns or anything like that.
no.
Um, no, so obviously the big thing that happened was The Rock came back completely unannounced, and John Cena was on the Grayson Waller effect. That led to a pretty interesting, I guess, main event segment, even though it wasn't the main event
Main
match.
event. Hmm.
But I don't know. So how do we feel about Dwayne coming back? I know that selfishly, because we have WrestleMania tickets already, we got
Hmm.
tickets with the notion of hopefully seeing Cody finish the story. I put a tweet out saying that I can't believe I'm saying that I'll be disappointed if I see The Rock
The
versus
Rock.
Roman. But that's just the times that we're in right now. How are you feeling about The Rock coming back? If he ends up taking like a WrestleMania slot.
Uh, I will be a bit mildly disappointed. As crazy as that is to say, if he does end up going up against Roman at WrestleMania, because as you said, we went in with the preconception that we were going to be seeing Cody and the story with Roman at WrestleMania.
I saw
Uh,
some speculation online
mhm.
where they could spin it in a way so it's like on night one, they're like somehow Cena gets involved in the main event scene, Cody is there, The Rock's there, and then you have this like, I guess on night one you have Roman and Dwayne, and then Cody and Cena, and then the winners of those respective matches main event night two for the championship. So you can still kind of get all that, and then night
Mhm.
two would still be headlined by Cody Roman. I don't know how I feel about all that. I feel like that's like a little too much.
Yeah, that seems like a little much and a little bit more than they probably would think or want to put into it. If we get that so that we can get Cody versus Roman, I'll be okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what happens, like, hey, we're going to be the ones that are there, we're going to see it live, that's going to be the greatest WrestleMania ever.
Yeah.
Maybe. Uh, but no, like if that's the route that they go down, being there live for all of that, fantastic. I'm super excited. But I don't think that's how it's going to go down. I don't want to see Dwayne in that title picture. I just
I
don't.
don't get me wrong, I would absolutely love to see The Rock when we go.
Yeah.
Like have him have a slot in WrestleMania somewhere, but just not against Roman at WrestleMania or like night 2 main event type deal.
The wacky world of wrestling. It really felt like I enjoyed this episode like as a
Mhm.
whole. I've got some things about the opening segment that are more than just how I feel about Dwayne at this current moment. But this was the first episode of any, I guess, main roster
Mhm.
WWE programming since the like Endeavor acquisition and the whole like TKO group or whatever. And it really felt like this episode they wanted to be like, here's the new regime. This is what we can offer. It really felt like they wanted to make a statement with this episode with just everything that they had on it. I mean, running
Yeah.
through the card, you had Balor and Styles. I mean, LA Knight and The Miz, they were there, but LA Knight is like over. He gets those
Yeah.
loud reactions. And then you have Asuka and Bailey in the main event. It really felt like they wanted to send a message with this and be like nothing's changing. And
Yeah.
like it could be like this every single week. We don't know yet. But I guess we'll get started just running through the card down here. Pat McAfee was there. Completely just
Yeah, he
glossed over that at
was.
the beginning there. Pat's back, which is awesome. I miss
Yes, it
him.
is.
I want like the nightmare blunt rotation of Pat McAfee, Mauro Ranello, and Michael Cole.
Yo.
Maybe Graves. Swap out Cole for Graves.
Yeah.
Nightmare rotation. Um, Pat's just talking about like how he misses the crowd and all that stuff. He gets cut off by the legend killer Austin Theory. If
It's
no one
gonna
understands
happen,
that,
man.
watch the other stuff. It'll make sense. Theory says that it isn't SmackDown, it's Austin Theory Live. It's like one of those times when like you say something and it sounds a lot cooler in your head, and it
Absolutely.
kind of comes out like nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it was a thing. It was a thing. Someone said, I don't remember. It was Theory saying something to McAfee about like how they dress. Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. He's like, when I dress like this, I look like a god. When you dress like this, you look like someone who should be flipping fries. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Like, did we mean flipping burgers?
Nah, it's flipping fries, man.
The
It's the
age old
alliteration.
adage.
Yeah.
Well, they're called fry cooks. Like, aren't they? Like, don't they flip? And then I have in my
That's how you get them cooked well enough in the fryer. You gotta like take the basket out, throw them up, flip them, and get the basket back underneath
That's
it.
what it is. That's all right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. And then I have in my notes, oh no, Dwayne is here. They just mute the entire feed. For a
For
while, the crowd's just doing
yeah.
like the holy S chant. And it's just silence. They don't even do
Uh
the thing where they like, because like when they play like entrances, WWE would do the thing where like they'll just run the actual theme through like
mhm.
whatever gets broadcast.
Yeah.
And they didn't even do that. Like you don't even have like Rock's music. It's just complete dead silence while he's standing out there, and it's just this kind of like awkward like I don't know, but that wasn't the only thing that got censored while The Rock was
It
out there.
absolutely was not.
They basically just take turns dumping on Austin Theory. Theory tries to get a few quips in, but obviously no one's like gonna be booked to get one over on The Rock on the mic, unless you're like Cena, maybe Punk. And then they just start dueling chants or arena-wide chants of one side goes "you are," and the other side says an a-hole. And then for the next like 45 seconds, you hear almost nothing because they're just having to cut the audio every 5 seconds or so. There's a few that slip up. There's a few that come through crystal clear. You gotta love that like 7-second delay on live TV, so they can't quite time it. That goes on for a little too long, in my
I would
opinion.
I would agree that went on for a bit too long.
Because then after that, then he had the crowd switch sides. So then the other side
Yep.
said "you are," and the other side got to say "in a hole," and then it just goes on again, and we get more silence, and it's just this. I'm sure, like being there live, it was fun. It did not translate well on TV.
No. Things like that just don't translate well to watching it at home. As someone, I haven't been to probably as many live events as you have, but being part of a chant, whole lot of fun when you're there.
When you're there,
Having to sit and listen to a bunch of people shout stuff while the people are just kind of standing there while you're watching it on TV, not so much.
not as fun. Segment ends. Rock hits a spine buster, goes for a people's elbow, and then McAfee also gets to hit his own people's elbow. And that was it. That was the opening segment. It went on quite a while. So let's talk about the crux of this. Why is it always Austin Theory in these spots?
He's the legend killer,
God
man.
damn it. Okay, so like,
No. Uh, honestly, I don't really know. I guess they're still just trying to push him as this guy who just like is always trying to pick fights with, people who have really strong reputations, and he gets bodied by them most of the time.
I just ever since like Ray beat him for the U.S. title, he needs to do something else. Like I think I brought it up last time how I thought that like okay, him
Mhm.
losing, they're gonna take him off, they're gonna hit the reset button or whatever, and they haven't. They're just going down the same path with it. And it's like
Yeah,
clearly something's not working. If
they just
everyone
doubled
like
down.
backstage is like as high up on him as like it appears everyone is, like they got to do something else because the crowds don't like him. And
Mm-mm.
not in like the we hate you, you're the bad guy type thing. Like the crowd does
Just
not care. And
yeah,
that is arguably worse.
yeah. It's good if it's a good thing if you have. I guess he'd qualify as a heel,
Mm.
I suppose. Well, with his attitude, it's a really good thing if the crowd's out there to boo him, but not so much if they just don't want to see him.
I mean, he's super talented. I know he has some like things I think against him, some sort of allegations or whatever. But like his moveset
Mhm.
in ring is super crisp. If they just give him a character, he seems like he just radiates such natural like babyface energy, and it seems
Mhm.
like forcing him to always be a heel isn't like doing anything because it's not believable.
Yeah, I would agree. It's really hard to get behind most of it because whenever were having their back and forths in the ring during the opening segment, it just really kind of felt like he was stumbling through some of his words and some of his insults that he was trying to throw out there.
Mm.
I don't know if that's necessarily him just not being too great on the mic. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's more so he just isn't that believable of a heel.
Let's see, what do we got next? That was Finn Balor and AJ Styles. Very first thing I wrote down was let them cook.
Yes,
They kind of did. They kind of did.
they
Um,
did. Yeah.
for a TV match, this was about what we could expect from a match between Finn Balor and AJ Styles. I also noted that it is SmackDown, and we're still talking about Jey Uso joining the Judgment Day.
I also have that. I said
So,
can't even escape the stuff on SmackDown.
so that's 7 times, I think. What was it on Raw? Was it 6 or 7?
It was 6 or 7, so now it's either 7 or 8 in 1 week.
Good, good. I get that it's because the Judgment Day is out there,
Mhm.
but like that has no bearing on what's going on. Like, let's talk about Finn Balor and AJ Styles. Let's not talk about Jey Uso.
Yeah.
Raw superstar Jey Uso. Can't stress that enough.
On Friday Night
Yeah.
SmackDown.
I also have a thing. I don't know if this like the commercials are localized in different markets or whatever. I got an Aquaman trailer during this when I was watching it back. They said something along the lines. There was a quote of like, "You're trying to end the bloodline or end the bloodline" or something like that. I have a note about like, goddamn, Jason Momoa is gonna finish the story before Cody at this point. Funnily enough, I don't have a ton of notes about this match. I was just kind of
Mhm.
watching it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna let these guys do their thing, and I'm just gonna
Yeah,
watch and enjoy it.
I'm right there with you. I was too engrossed in watching AJ and Finn in the ring again to really have too many notes on anything that happened.
It was
I
it was
have more so notes of like just general things and the whole like cleanup of the end of the match.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was good to just see AJ like this again because like he
Yeah.
never actually gets to go like he can go, and that's not
Mhm.
a knock on like any of the people that are on main roster that he goes against. It's just main roster WWE style isn't going 110 miles an hour for a 25-minute match. But you throw Finn Balor in there, and suddenly you get someone else who can go 110 miles an hour for a 25-minute match, and a little bit of magic happens in there.
Yeah, dude.
I think just letting AJ Styles get that edge back to him that's just been gone for a little while could be fun to see. And I don't know where we're going with the whole maybe breaking up of the OC or whatever, but I just miss I miss fun AJ.
Yeah, same here.
Finish of the match sees the ref tossing out Priest and Dom from ringside. And then Jimmy tries to come in and interfere. AJ gets the one up on him, hits him, but in the distraction, Finn wins via a roll-up, which is unfortunate. And then the camera cuts, and Priest and Dom are still there. Like, they never left.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
Like, when it goes to, it's one of the, not the wide shot, but it's like one of the cameras where you can see, like, still up through the ramp. They're just, like, still standing there. So, like, they didn't leave.
Yeah.
They just kind of walked to, like, the barricade area where the ramp is, and then just kind of stood there until the match was over. So I don't... Maybe we weren't supposed to see that. I just thought it was weird that the ref kicked them out and then, like, didn't throw a fit when they only walked 15 feet. Let's see. We see Jimmy pacing backstage. It looks like Finn is coming back straight after his match. Finn tries to, like, thank him for whatever. Heyman is just kind of hanging out in the background, and there's a couple times where Jimmy very clearly is, like, looking over and, like, sees him in that direction, and I'm not sure if we're supposed to pretend that Jimmy can't see him.
I wasn't sure either.
Because Heyman's very clearly there.
Yes.
But he doesn't say anything to Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't say anything to him. They're supposed to both, I think, exist in their own separate spaces. But, like, surely Jimmy can see Heyman. Like, they're, like, 10 feet away from each other. It's like last week with AJ just right down the hall when they were talking. It's like, you cannot tell me he didn't hear this.
Yeah.
He's right there.
Like, I get that they need to frame shots in a way that the viewer can clearly see what is going on. But there has got to be some way that they can do it that doesn't just have Jimmy clearly... Yeah, no one's there.
Yeah, we're fine. He just doesn't have object permanence, I guess. And then Finn is also actively trying to recruit Jimmy. And Finn pitches this, like, crazy, like, fan theory of, well, what if the Usos got together in the Judgment Day and stuff? And, like, as much as I don't want Jay in there by himself, I certainly don't want to see Jimmy and Jay in the Bloodline. Judgment Day. It's all just melding together. My brain is imploding right now.
Well, no, but I mean, it kind of is, because, like, my biggest notes for that whole segment, both the match and post-match, is, like, what are they doing here? What is going on? They made it seem very clear that Judgment Day was trying to issue some challenge last week, and then had them help the Bloodline. No, Jimmy went and helped Finn. The most I can see is they're trying to, I guess, roll with Jimmy trying to hop in, and then that's how they're gonna keep pushing this whole Jay thing. Also, that's number 8 or 9, by the way.
Side note, 8 or 9. I don't know. This isn't really, it's not starting to sour me on the Judgment Day stuff, but it will if they keep trying to mix Judgment Day Bloodline, and it feels like that's the route that they're trying to go down. It feels like that's just the part of the story that we're at. And I really hope they like nothing actually comes of it. I don't think anything will. I think it would lead to a match before it would actually have a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm starting to get nervous.
I I don't think Jay will end up in Judgment Day in any extent. I do really feel like his character's pretty cemented in the whole wanting to actually redeem himself. Uh, Now, Jimmy, on the other hand, though, unfortunately, I can very much see them bringing him in to try and push the whole get Jay on board too and continue down that story path that I am already done with.
See, Jimmy seems like the lost dog type personality that like anyone that even talks to him, he's gonna like imprint on.
Yeah.
Be like, "You're my best friend. I'm not leaving you. What group are you in? I'm part of that group too."
Yeah.
Like he doesn't seem to have his own morals or his own like standing, which is weird because he was the first one to leave the bloodline in the first place. He was the first one to kick Roman, and we're just pretending like that didn't happen now.
Nah, man,
I
it's
hate
Jay.
it here.
It's Jay. Jimmy's always been there. Jimmy never left. You gotta believe me,
According to
man.
him, he never left. What a mess. What do we got? We come back. The LWO are already in the ring. They got the jobber entrance. The United States champion got the jobber entrance.
Uh-huh.
I noticed that while Ray is talking, Santos isn't wearing LWO stuff. I say Zelina isn't either, but, still. And, is just subtle hints, like, is Santos going to turn? Is, like, Zelina also going to, like, side with Santos or something like that? I don't know. I just thought it was weird that they weren't shilling their own merch shirt.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't notice that because, 3 of them were all wearing it, I'm pretty sure. I think it was Ray and names are escaping me.
I don't think Ray was, but the other two were.
Yeah, the other 2 were. I knew that there was representation of the merch in the ring.
But
I did not catch the significance of that. That's a
yeah, I could just be reading too much into it and stuff, but you never know. It could happen. But he does ask Ray for a title match. He says, "It's always been my dream to face my idol for a championship in the WWE." And then Ray pretends to act shocked and stuff. He's like, "What? Santos, why are you doing this after everything that we've been through?" He's like, "Nah, I'm just yanking your dick. Yeah, you're on."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay." And honestly, like at first, before Ray like was just joking around and stuff, I was like, like fully on Santos's side. I'm like, "Ray, why are you being a little bitch? You don't got to be a baby about this. Like, you can say no." And then Lashley and the Profits come out. They are in Denver tonight, I believe. So Bobby gets a lot of chance being from Colorado himself. And we get some words get exchanged, and it kind of leads to an impromptu LWO and Street Profits match, if you want to call it one.
Yeah.
My exact notes for this match are: the bell rang, it rang again.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Just have squash. Why they gotta do them like that?
But what was interesting is that there was a post-match beatdown. So it seems like Lashley and the Profits are going to be working a little more heel than trying to be like this babyface like supergroup, which I'm okay for. I don't think the Profits, I think they've always ran as faces. There might have been a time or two where they started to dip into like heelish tendencies, but I don't think they've ever done like a post-match beatdown on the very clearly supposed to be the good guys in the match. So very curious to see what the Profits with a little bit of grit are like.
Yeah, me
But
too. I
but
kind of like the whole like Bobby Lashley supporting the Street Profits deal and what they kind of have going on. I'm excited to see where they go with it.
yeah, especially because like Bobby's had a heck of a resurgence in WWE. Like his first run back in like the early 2000s when he was there, not used very well at all. And now he's like former WWE champion and like he's actually over his like he gets chance. So it's just
Mhm.
cool to see. And then it immediately adds like legitimacy to the Profits because it's like, okay, well, this former literal world champion is hanging around with these guys and it kind of elevates their stock as
Mhm.
well. But while they're beating up the LWO, Santos and Ray come back in to help, and Ray gets knocked down. So I'm wondering, like, are we getting Lashley Ray or are we still getting Santos Ray?
Mhm.
Because it seems like it could go either way. I don't know how I would feel about a triple threat, but
Yeah, because that would just kind of take away from the whole reason of why Santos was challenging Ray in the first place, was that it was meant to kind of be like a respectful
yeah,
sparring between, you know,
unless we
between
get
two people.
like Santos Ray and then like Lashley interferes or something like that, and then it sets up something down the line.
Yeah,
But
if they're really leaning into like the heelish tendencies and stuff, I could see that happening too.
I don't know if I want to see Lashley with the U.S. title though.
I mean, could it bring some like legitimacy and life back into the US belt though?
Oh, 100%. Well, maybe. It depends on what they do with it.
Hmm. But I mean, possibly.
I mean, I
If it does that, I probably wouldn't mind, but I do think that, you know, Lashley is definitely capable of more than just that.
yeah. Personally, I'd like to see it more on Santos, regardless of how it gets
Hmm.
to him, just because ultimately, whether or not he has, I guess, a good reign or a bad reign, at least just having the championship will kind of put a spotlight on him and would
Hmm.
hopefully get him on like more TV and possibly more like pay per view or PLE, whatever they're gonna start calling them again. Just for that, just because, like I've said in the past, big Santos fan. I think he's really fun to watch, and I just don't think he's on TV enough. I think a lot of the LWO stuff either involves the other two guys. Um, I don't know why I can't remember their names. We're just gonna call them the other two guys. For like tag matches, or Ray is in singles matches, or it's Ray and Santos in tag matches, and there's not a whole lot of like solo Santos.
Mm-mm. There really is not.
All right, we've got the LA Knight and Miz match. We get a very lengthy recap
Here
of
we
their
do.
feud. That it felt like it was almost as long as their payback match. It was long. I was like, when is it going to be over?
Well, you got to catch everybody up.
For the yeah. Um, I mean, it's LA Knight and Miz. It's not a barn burner. It's perfectly serviceable. It's a good TV match. Miz rakes LA Knight's eyes after distracting the ref by pulling on the apron. Doesn't matter. Knight ends up winning with, of course, the BFT. I noted that the crowd seemed to be hotter here than they were at Payback. Like the crowd really seemed into this.
Yeah, they were.
But this is the more exciting part. So he gets on the mic after the match. He says he wants the championship. He said it doesn't matter who it is, who's holding it, he wants it. And we go backstage and we see Heyman and Solo are watching on one of the like the TVs that is set up backstage. Solo says something like under his breath. I didn't catch what he said. Did you?
It was essentially something along the lines of essentially, I know what I have to do. Something
Because
like that.
he
I don't
said
know if that's the exact words, but that's pretty much what he had said.
because he says something, and then Paul is like, well, only Roman can make that order, and then I haven't been told to tell you that order, which means Roman hasn't said it, and says something about how like Jimmy's what did I even write? Heyman says stuff about the people Jimmy is mixing it up with, and how Solo is gonna have to clean up Jimmy's messes. Did that happen, or did I imagine that?
No, that happened.
Okay, it just
Pretty sure.
it feels like really like crammed into like what I was talking about. Like I just wrote it as a side tangent, and I wasn't quite sure if I actually
Yeah,
got that.
because Solo had said something along the lines like he knows what he has to do or whatever. Heyman had said, I didn't say that. You need to actually be focusing on your brother cleaning that up. Yeah.
But then, yeah, Solo says he already knows what needs to be done. He'll do it tonight. Heyman's very confused because he's like, no one gave that order. And of course, we get the call Roman Reigns. the one per week, the very distraught.
Yeah.
We see Pretty Deadly backstage with Adam Pearce. It looks like Elton is getting closer to being able to compete. Pierce questions why he's in a wheelchair for a shoulder injury. Valid question, all things considered. And then we get a yes boy. And I'm very excited to see these two back on TV because they have been gone for a while and I want to see them back.
Yeah, I have not seen them personally, at least in an instance that I remember. And that spot there was enough to go, oh, yeah, okay. I'm
Yes,
behind these guys.
They're so fun. They're so fun. They're the type of like heels that you actually want to see get beat up because they're just not good people.
Yeah.
We've got so Bailey and Dakota are talking backstage. This was actually a little interesting segment. Bailey says that she wishes that Io didn't really challenge Asuka on a whim like that. Bailey claims that she's had everything planned out from their debut to Io cashing in and becoming champion. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. Because Bailey was also in that Money in the Bank match, so. But she just hopes that Io is actually ready for Asuka and didn't just like get kind of caught up in the moment. Dakota says that, with everything that's been going on with Bailey lately, it'd be more appropriate to ask Bailey if she's ready for Asuka, because like she's the one that has to face Asuka tonight, not Io.
Yeah.
Little introspective, some thoughts back there for Pam. And then we get the Asuka Bailey match. We get a based Triple Tails reference. So this is, I wasn't expecting to hear it, but it is good to see that Michael Cole still has the ability to mention wrestling that happens outside of WWE, and that WWE isn't the only thing on this planet. We've got the match. I said it was kind of a lame finish for a main event match.
Yeah.
Shotzi just kind of comes up from the crowd, distracts Bailey, and then Asuka gets a backslide. And that's it. That's the match. It was fun while it was going on, but then the finish kind of took the air out of the room for me.
Yeah, you can have a serviceable or even rather good match and have it end in a roll up or a backslide, and it just kind of makes you go, "Oh, it's over."
Yeah.
You got all this energy and all this hype building up, like, oh, is this gonna be it? No, that's gotta be it. No, it's just a backslide.
Yeah, like it would have been better. Instead of a backslide, all they had to do, they could still have the Shotzi distraction, Bailey run back into the ring, whatever. just in the heat, like in the confusion and the panic, have Asuka be able to lock in the Asuka lock. That's it. Just have Bailey tap out. Like that's it.
Yeah,
That's so
that's
much better than a
backslide. Yeah.
Ah.
It's not that hard. Ah.
So I guess the whole Shotzi Bailey thing is going to continue. Kind of wish it wasn't, personally.
Yeah, in my notes I just kind of have okay, but it's Shotzi really that scary? Because they really played it up of Shotzi popping up, and then all of a sudden Bailey's panicking for what seems like her life, trying to get away from her, all because she's staring and smiling at her. Like
It was weird.
Yeah,
it
it was like, hey, it's almost October. Yeah, Shotzi, you're gonna be like an actor that pops out of a haunted house, but we're just at a wrestling match, and there's no haunted house, but act like that.
She got that Field of Screams actor type thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can't touch you. I'm just gonna like do some weird shit and like chase you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stare at you, smile creepily.
Aren't I so crazy, kooky?
Ooh.
But I mean, if nothing else, we're still getting EO Asuka next week.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited to watch that.
And then we've got our actual main event segment, the Grayson Waller effect with John Cena.
Okay, so I have a quick question really quick after I just looked at my notes.
Yeah.
From this. Has Grayson Waller's, like, the graphic that they put up that's supposed to be, like, the big graphics or whatever over the crowd, has it always been those shoes with liquid pouring out of them?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, because I just have in my notes, what's up with the piss shoes?
So I think it's like a shoey or something like that. It's like that Australian thing where you dump a beer into a shoe and then you drink it.
Got it.
Or whatever.
Okay.
When he got called up to main roster, they did like a little like interview thing, and he was like partially in kayfabe, partially shoot, talking about like how excited he was, but then dipping back to it took him long enough or whatever. And then he just took his shoe off, poured a drink in it, and chugged it in front of everyone. And everyone's like, what the actual fuck are you doing?
Okay. I'm glad to have some context to his shoes now.
But the whole crux of this segment is that Waller just isn't letting Cena speak.
Yep.
At all. Every time Cena tries to even just take a breath, he gets cut off. Waller starts talking again. He says specifically that Cena hasn't been the same since Theory beat him. We're still beating this dead horse. And then that upsets Cena, so Cena takes off his hat, takes off his shirt. He's just ready to throw down. Grayson gives him, the mic, though, just to kind of act as mediator, the little olive branch. And then Jimmy Uso comes out, so John Cena still doesn't really get to...
No, he does
do
not.
A whole lot. Jimmy immediately gets in Cena's face, and then Solo comes out. And then, in a weird little thing, Solo grabs Jimmy, looks like he's getting ready to spike him, and then he just super kicks Cena. Why are we doing this still? Why are we pretending that he's gonna like spike someone in his own family, and then like, oh, surprise, I'm gonna kick this other guy? Like that's...
You've never seen this before, guys.
Never seen
guess
this before.
What?
What do you mean you've seen this before? It's brand new.
Yeah.
Notably, Jimmy looks for a handshake afterwards to be like, okay, so we're cool. Solo doesn't give him one.
Yep.
So something's still going on with the bloodline there. Styles comes in to make the save, which is cool. Because the dark match that night was Jimmy and Solo versus AJ and Cena. I kind of wish that they would have maybe put that on TV.
Yeah, that would have been neat.
Because, like, you had Dwayne just kind of pop up. I'm sure if you would have said, yeah, and John Cena's going to wrestle in the main event, maybe more people also would have watched. Who knows? Um, but everyone just starts fighting each other, and Solo is able to save Jimmy from an AA, and that is where the show ended. We didn't get to see a whole lot of anything after that. So, John Cena in the Bloodline, where, like, there's so many Bloodline loose ends that are going on right now. It's kind of getting a little much now.
Yeah, I would agree. It really is. Um, they they need to start tying up some loose ends. I hope Solo coming out to, I guess, clean up Jimmy's mess for him, I guess is what they were trying to go for there. Is enough to get through to Jimmy of like, maybe I shouldn't be messing with John Cena, but there's still beef with AJ Styles there still, and it's supposed to be AJ and John against him. So like, they're letting it get a little too diluted. They
Yeah,
need to they need to tie up some loose ends and write like one, maybe two good plot threads for them to get things going.
because yeah, now
Obviously,
it's
like Roman can have his own deal going on or whatever because he's the champion, so he can just still kind of be there as the figurehead of the bloodline. But for Solo and Jimmy, I really think they need to just kind of pull everything in and go, nah, okay, we're gonna chop up all this stuff off, and we're just gonna go down this road, and have that be that.
yeah, I definitely feel like some stuff should be wrapping up rather than expanding. Because now it's like a choose your own adventure at this
Hmm.
point, and like we forgot what page we were on, like we forgot what page we were supposed to go to, and we're just kind of picking up halfway through another story, and we're like, yeah, this is fine. We'll just fill in the gaps,
Yeah,
and
now
it
we're
really,
just kind of like we're just kind of reading page to page in a pick your own adventure
yeah. You're like,
instead
wow,
of
what a
go.
weird twist.
Yeah.
Glad this was supposed to happen the whole time, definitely.
Wait, I thought this ended 3 pages ago. Why are we still going?
Yeah, that is kind of what this feels like.
Yeah.
Damn. But yeah, I'm tired of the whole like, will Jay join Judgment Day? Will Jay like I don't, especially like on SmackDown. Like I don't care about that story thread. We're watching
No.
SmackDown. Yeah, you can talk about Bloodline stuff, I guess. Like obviously, but it's just weird to mention like one of the main Raw storylines on SmackDown. Maybe I'm in the minority on that. Maybe they're trying to tie everything together so you have a reason to watch both Raw and SmackDown because they're just going to be telling the same stories. But at that point, it's like, why watch both then? If it's going to be the
Yeah.
exact same stuff on both shows, it kind of disinterests me from watching.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Um I can understand them wanting to tie things together somewhat, especially because Judgment Day is supposed to be represented on both, what with the tag belts and other stuff like that. But I don't think that they need to do it. They need to pull back on it some,
Mhm.
on mentioning big storylines that are trying to just that are meant for just Raw. Like have some minor things going on or something. Don't involve, the arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest factions and most important factions in WWE right now on both shows and have them tie everything together. Because, like you said, it starts to just feel really old. And like, why am I bothering to watch this if it's just the same thing over and over and over again? It's saying the same thing 8 to 9 times a week.
Yeah, we kept track. We
Yeah.
literally we literally counted that shit. Is it weird that ultimately, The Rock being on the show kind of felt like an afterthought?
No, I don't think so. Especially because it was the first thing to happen at the beginning of the night too. Um, yeah, I don't think it's too weird.
I haven't seen any of like the ratings or anything from SmackDown come out.
Hmm.
I'm curious to see if obviously I'm expecting a higher like viewing than normal. But I'm
Mhm.
very curious to see how many more people tuned in. If like people were like texting like, their friends who are estranged wrestling fans and haven't watched in years or whatever, and it's like, yo, turn on SmackDown right now, Dwayne's here. People are like, what? Which kind of ties back to the why is it always Austin Theory? Because like,
Yeah.
if you want someone in there who's gonna like draw new fans and be like, oh, who's this guy or whatever, it's not Theory. Like you
Mm-mm.
need to have someone else, maybe someone like an LA Knight shaped character, just like fan theory, some head canon.
If as someone who's still relatively fresh to wrestling, I can say as a new viewer, or probably very similar for returning viewers, the easiest people to get behind and be like, yo, I like that person is when they're very much so over with the crowd.
Yeah. And so that's the weird thing with both of us is that a lot of the wrestling channels on YouTube, I don't want to say like everyone is, like octogenarian or something. They're just
Mhm.
a little older than we are, mid to late 20s, and a lot of the more established YouTube channels were like our age or close to our age during like the Attitude Era. So
Mhm.
they have these like strong, heartfelt connections to The Rock and Stone Cold and like all that stuff. And like I can go back and I can watch that stuff and I can appreciate it because obviously we wouldn't be where we are now in wrestling history without that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say it's like rose colored glasses because the Attitude Era was like objectively the hottest and like best time for
Yeah.
WWE. It probably has been for like a hot minute. But people like The Rock and Austin, like they don't do anything for me. I never had that connection with them. And then
Mhm.
by the time I really started watching wrestling, The Rock was already out for Hollywood. Austin had been gone. Even at that point, like Lesnar was out. He was somehow making the Minnesota Vikings as a walk-on, despite never doing football before. Dude's not human. I don't get it. Uh, so, but then you have like the modern day. You have like the LA Knight and stuff like that, and he is cut from the same cloth, but for just a more modern audience. And I think if you
Yeah.
had something like that to parallel with Dwayne when he was in there, I think it could have resonated more. I get why they didn't do it, because then like Dwayne can't beat up LA Knight. He's gonna turn into like the biggest heel in the building. Like
Yeah.
of course we're gonna beat up Austin Theory. But I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. It's definitely a hot take to be like I don't like The Rock. I don't care for The Rock.
I mean,
It is
I
what it
get
is.
that. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't hate him, but I also like. It's cool to see him. It's cool to see that he's still around and that he still is.
Oh, he's
You know,
around because
he's
he's got
still.
nothing else going on.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the past couple years when WWE's been like, "Yo, let's do something." And he's like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah. So I mean, it's cool to see him, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be like, oh, cool. That's cool. I never thought I'd see this person type deal.
Hmm.
But I'm like you. I don't have that connection to him in the same way that other people do. So I do very much so agree. Uh, just I would say in general, the whole sentiment of if you're going to bring somebody back who hasn't been around for a while, left for a considerable amount of time, pair them up with somebody who's currently active or currently over,
Hmm.
or the crowd is at least if you're bringing back a face, pair them up with a more modern heel crowd, maybe booing them and stuff, but at least they're like there, and you can bridge that gap between either people who go, "Oh, wow, this person's back. Maybe I should start watching again," and that can be a bridge to get them onto the like behind what's going on with the current main roster and modern day main roster
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know, just my 2 cents on it. It wasn't supposed to be like an anti-Dwayne thing, but it just kind of came out that way. Guilty as charged, I suppose. All right, but I mean that was the whole episode of SmackDown. It really flew by this
Yep.
week. I think just because the opening segment went a while, and then all the matches were like really fast paced.
Yep.
It didn't feel like anything like overstayed its welcome. Everything was a reasonable amount of time, and it was just a breeze to watch SmackDown.
Yeah, it
I watched it. Oh, God, I don't remember. I don't remember if I watched it live or if I had to record it. I genuinely don't remember for some reason. But yeah, it did not feel like it was a 2 hour program,
no, not at all.
and that's when wrestling's the best.
Yeah, it was actually rather enjoyable. I don't know where it stacked up from Raw last week, but definitely wasn't. It was better than what I was expecting walking into
Yeah,
SmackDown this past week.
I say, and as we're recording this now, Raw is actually live. So we'll have to. Oh, I didn't set the thing to record Raw. Oh, we're watching the Hulu version.
Let's go.
So that's my fault.
It's good.
But yeah, just really curious to see now that we're in this the TKO era, where Endeavor and WWE are kind of this like conglomerate.
Mm-hmm.
If that was the SmackDown episode, then like I guess it would make sense for Raw to kind of have a rebuttal,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak, and to see what like a very well put together episode of Raw can be like.
Yeah.
But, yeah. You have any more like thoughts, concerns about this week's episode?
No, I don't think so. We covered my notes pretty well, and we covered everything that happened. So,
Awesome.
like I said, it was more enjoyable than I expected it to be this past week.
Yeah, yeah. Just please don't put Dwayne in the main event of WrestleMania. That's all we're asking. I'm begging. But yeah, so that was this week's episode. As always, leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Am I just wrong about The Rock? Is he the greatest thing ever? I mean, objectively, he's like one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I understand that. That doesn't mean I have to like the guy.
Yeah.
So call me like a dumbass in the comments or something like that. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure you're getting all of our notifications, all that fun stuff that everyone else tells you. But until next time, this has been the Sheer Drop Wrestling team signing out.